Japan is shrinking, not in terms of geography, but in terms of something far worse, population.
In 2024, Japan's population fell to 123 million. That's down from 128 million in 2010. And by 2070, the government expects it to plunge below 87 million. That's a decline of 32% in just one lifetime. But the real crisis?
It's not how many people Japan has, it's how many people are left.
Japan is now the oldest country in the world, with 30% of its population over the age of 65, and nearly 1 in 10 is over the age of 80. There are now more adult diapers sold in Japan than baby diapers. In some towns, schools are shutting down, replaced by elderly care centers. Rural villages have turned into ghost towns, with forests swallowing abandoned homes. And here's the thing, while much of the developed world faces aging populations, most countries have one major advantage that Japan refuses to embrace: immigration. Unlike the US, Canada, the UK, or Germany, Japan has been insanely resistant to letting outsiders in. The percentage of foreigners in Japan is just 2.3% of the total population. Compare that to about 15% in the US, 13% in Germany, and over 20% in Canada. In fact, Japan has one of the lowest immigration rates in the OECD. And while other nations actively recruit immigrants to fill labor shortages and boost the economy, Japan is treating immigration like a last resort. Temporary workers, yes; permanent residents, not so much. Even during moments of obvious need, like the post-pandemic labor shortage in 2022, Japan remained hesitant. That year, while Germany took in over 1 million immigrants and Canada increased its annual immigration target to 500,000, Japan barely nudged its policy. Now, the government has experimented with short-term programs like the 2019 Specified Skilled Worker Visa. That was designed to bring in foreign labor for 14 industries, including construction, caregiving, and agriculture. But even that was restrictive, with language requirements and no path to citizenship for most people.
The result? Japan has quietly become a demographic ticking time bomb.
So why won't Japan open up? Well, the answer lies in a deep blend of cultural, historical, and even political factors. See, Japan is an island nation that prides itself on its culture. For centuries, it was isolated, cut off from the world for over 200 years, and even after opening its borders in the 19th century, the mindset never fully shifted. See, there's a belief that Japanese culture is unique and that foreigners, no matter how well-intentioned, simply don't fit in. This is reflected in everything from real estate, where foreigners often have trouble renting apartments, to job market, where many companies require fluency in Japanese in order to get a job. And then there's also social life. There's even a term meaning outsider that remains widely used. Politically, no major party has championed immigration. While conservative politicians fear social tension, even progressive leaders are cautious. See, immigration remains deeply unpopular with the public. So instead of changing course, Japan is doubling down on robots, automation, and even women in the workforce as solutions to its demographic collapse.
But now, even those aren't enough.
Walk into some Japanese convenience stores today and you might not see a single employee. Just check out robotic floor cleaners and pre-packaged meals restocked by machines. If you walk into a 7-Eleven or Family Mart in Tokyo, you are starting to see a lot more immigrants working those jobs than you used to just a couple years ago. In elder care, robotic pets soothe dementia patients. In restaurants, tablet menus are everywhere. And in factories, automation handles everything from packaging to inspection. See, Japan is investing heavily in becoming a robotic nation, with over 400 robots per 10,000 workers. That's the highest ratio in the world. But the math still doesn't add up, because you can't program a robot to do everything, like pick strawberries on uneven farmland or ask a machine to comfort a 95-year-old grandmother in a rural care home. And the labor shortage is everywhere: construction, agriculture, trucking, tourism, nursing, and it's getting worse.
By 2040, Japan is projected to be short of about 11 million workers. That's about 20% of its current workforce.
And at the same time, Japan's GDP growth is flat and the tax base is shrinking. That means fewer workers supporting more retirees. See, in 1990, there were 6 working-age people for every retiree. By 2050, that will be just 1.5. You can't grow a country when you're running out of hands. In the fishing village of Kesen Numa, boats are sitting docked, and not for the lack of fish, but for the lack lack of people to catch them. In Osaka, small manufacturers are turning down business because they can't hire enough workers to meet demand. Meanwhile, in Fukuoka, a pilot program quietly brought in Filipino caregivers for aging residents. Many locals were skeptical at first, but over time they became indispensable, learning Japanese customs, even participating in festivals. And still, these workers who fill urgent gaps, support dying towns, and care for aging parents have no guaranteed path to permanent residency. In many cases, they must leave after 5 years regardless of how well they integrate.
Globally, the immigration story is very different.
See, Canada, facing its own labor shortage, is targeting over 1 million new immigrants. The country offers a clear path to citizenship. It celebrates multiculturalism and ties immigration to economic development. Germany was once hesitant, but now embraced immigration since 2015, especially after the Syrian refugee crisis. By 2022, it had over 13 million foreign-born residents, many of whom now work in healthcare, tech, and manufacturing. Australia actively recruits foreign students and converts them into skilled migrants. And South Korea was once nearly as closed as Japan, but it's changing. In 2023, it announced plans to double the number of foreign workers by 2025, especially in agriculture and construction. See, the global consensus here is that without immigration, developed countries can't grow. But Japan is still debating whether it even wants to try.
So what happens if Japan continues down this path?
Well, with fewer workers, Japan's GDP will continue to decline. Already in 2023, Japan was overtaken by Germany as the world's third largest economy. And the IMF is projecting that India could surpass Japan by 2026. Meanwhile, if California was its own country, it just recently surpassed Japan. As the elderly population soars, Japan will need 2 million caregivers by 2040. Without immigrants, that number is impossible. Urbanization won't save Japan if there's no one left to move. Already, over 13% of homes in Japan are abandoned, and that number is expected to hit 30% by 2050. A declining population weakens military strength, innovation, and global influence. In fact, Japan risks becoming what some economists call a rich, shrinking museum. And yet the issue is barely talked about in Japanese politics. Not loudly, not urgently, it's a quiet crisis hiding in plain sight.
There are some signs. They're small, but there are some signs that change might come.
In 2023, Japan's government announced it would consider allowing some foreign workers to stay indefinitely, and that's a major shift from past rules. New policies aim to streamline the visa process and provide language support. And younger Japanese are more open. In surveys, people under age 35 are far more likely to say immigration is necessary to save the country. There's even a growing wave of foreign-born entrepreneurs bringing life to empty shopping streets and offering new perspectives. But time is running out. The demographic curve isn't hypothetical. It's happening right now. And every year Japan delays its immigration reform, the labor pool shrinks, the economy contracts, and the social burden grows. Japan stands at a crossroads. Preserve a cultural identity by closing itself off, or preserve a living nation by letting new people in. Because in the end, a country is not its temples or trains or traditions, a country is its people.
I think things are going to be more positively affected. It's going to take a lot more steps, I think, in the regulations, the rules, and also maybe acceptance from the local people as well. More younger generation, having more like acceptance because they are quite open rather than traditional people.
Yeah.
In economy perspective, I think I do agree with the more welcoming, the foreign workers and the tourists as well.
Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments, what do you think Japan needs to do to get itself out of this situation? Is the answer accepting more immigrants? While you're at it, check out more of my videos from here in Japan and around the world, and I'll see you next time.